Hello everyone. This is Starry Ari's ASMR. I am Ari, and in this video I wanted to try something a little different for me. So I have my laptop set up here, and I have a couple of notebooks over here, and I want to transcribe some of my written notes that are in those notebooks into digital copies. So I am working on my master's degree, and I would like to have something digitized so that I can very easily search my notes. So I think this video is going to be a lot of typing sounds, pretty lo-fi, and I'll kind of try and chit-chat as I'm typing. I don't know how well that's going to go, so there might be periods of time with no talking. If they are extended periods, I will add timestamps just so you can skip around if you want talking or don't want talking. So we will go ahead and jump right in. So I'm just going to start with my smaller notebook that just has a few pages in it, because I generally just kind of want to have access to that. It's kind of annoying for me to have like multiple notebooks that I'm trying to flip through. And the way that my notes are structured makes it kind of difficult, I feel like, for anyone that wouldn't be me to understand them, which I think probably means that they're not great notes. But I think generally if I'm able to understand them, it's kind of all that matters. I also tend to use a lot of like shorthand when I'm taking notes, and generally I do pretty good to make sure that whatever I am using is like very obvious, so that future me remembers what I was trying to say. I think that I'm like an okay typist. I don't know if that's the official title. I don't think I would make a particularly good transcriptionist, because I do make a decent amount of mistakes. Like, you'll often see me go back to this backspace button a lot. Generally because I just kind of type quickly, and then if I need to, swap things out, then I will, but I feel like this generally kind of works okay for me. So just kind of formatting a few things. I'm excited to have all of my stuff in digital form, because some of these classes kind of build on themselves, or just, there's some information that I maybe want to to flip back through all of my notes, and sometimes things are repetitive, so I might think that I remember where one thing came from, and yet I don't, and it's just this whole thing. So I love the search function. I feel like a lot of people in my professional career just like, I wasn't even working with like particularly older people. It was like even people my age just somehow like forgot or never knew that you could just like control F on a page or just like search in your email and try and find something that we talked about before. So I don't know if that is just a lost art or what, but either way, I prefer to use Control F all the time. I'm like constantly doing it on web pages or using my search function in messages. Like it just makes sense to do it. I'm also not trying to like be quieter with my typing. I'm just typing as I normally would, and I don't think that my finger placement is the like proper typing placement, but that's okay. I think it's better than like single typing. I think that this, whatever system I have going, at least works for me. I also meant to go through these notes and like highlight and adjust my formatting a little bit before I type this up. So I think there's lots of moments when I'm kind of just taking a second to read through and see if there's like a more efficient way that I can be typing something. Okay, so that is the first page done. Just gonna flip it to the next page. I think there is something very satisfying to typing. I love typing. And actually, when I was in undergrad, I used to take my laptop, and kind of towards the end of my undergrad, I would take my laptop in and just take notes directly on my laptop. And I think that as I've gotten a little bit older, I think I've recognized, like, generally, that maybe that's not the best way to learn the material. I think there's some research on that handwriting notes versus typing them is generally better. So I think that I have a couple of like weird sticky keys or something that keep like on my screen. I keep having like multiples of, sometimes I think my S is a little bit sticky. I think that my dash is a little bit sticky. Not that I feel it doesn't feel sticky, but generally, like, I think that the actual mechanism underneath the key is getting a little course, I'm gonna try and not have typos where I can, because I think that would make this easier on me when I'm actually going back through and trying to search for things. And some of my notes, I think, even just reading back on them, I think frequently, like, I was writing so quickly that it maybe didn't make as much sense as it could have, so there are moments where I'm having to kind of take a second and figure out what I was trying to say. I am not a great note taker. I write way more notes than I actually should. Because I think that, like, a good note taker is somebody that is, like, kind of reading between the lines a little bit. Like, they're able to kind of understand generally, like, what to put in, what to leave out. I am not that great at that. I'm somebody that would rather, like, overwrite so that I don't accidentally miss something. And then later on, I like to go back through my notes and maybe highlight or kind of see, like, what I'm missing. Not what I'm missing, but like what's the most important. Not too sure how long I'm going to type for today. I did ultimately decide to turn off my air conditioning just for a little bit for this video. It's not too warm in here, but it is a little warm outside, so I don't want that to kind of change. I don't want it to get too warm in here and then have my AC like a struggle to get it back to a comfortable spot. So I'm probably gonna leave this a little bit shorter. And then if you all like it, I mean, I have plenty of notes that I want to transcribe for myself, and I would be happy to film it. It makes it easier on me when I'm filming tasks that I would be doing anyways, and it's kind of motivating because then it's like I can tell myself I need to do this because people enjoyed that video and it's an easy video to film. I'm not entirely sure what I meant to say here. Oh, I can. Okay. Those are very good notes past me. The funny thing is that I've actually gone through these notes multiple times while I was studying or trying to find some information for some of my papers and assignments. So these notes, it's not like this is my first time reading back through these notes. And like if I was being like really smart about it, I think what I would probably do is read through these notes, kind of page by page, and then see, I think, my major takeaways and figure out what I actually want to type out, what information I think might be useful and valuable in the future. But I am just not going to do that. I'm going to just type everything as is for right now. I've moved on to the third page. I've been on the third page for a little while. I just didn't need to flip it. I'm hoping that this will be relaxing in some way. I personally love keyboard sounds, but I don't know. I'm not usually a huge fan of like really fast triggers in general. But maybe it just being kind of like in the background would be fine for me. I don't know. We'll see. I think we'll see also whether I will even post this. I was trying to read one of my words. I feel like I generally have pretty good handwriting that I at least can read, but that word was tough. It was laws. So right now I'm typing about kind of early laws, regulations around public health, environmental health, fun stuff like that. I find it really interesting. Realizing I need to be a little bit more strong with my dots when I'm abbreviating a word, especially a word that is not normally abbreviated. Like, oftentimes in my notes, I will abbreviate things like organization or organizational by just putting organ dot, and then I generally know that that's only what I do for organization or organizational. And I have some other things that are similar to that, but every now and then I won't make it like very clear that there is a period there, which makes it a little bit harder to recognize immediately that I am shortening that word. Accidentally bolded and underlined something that I didn't want to. So, kind of looking back over my notes on the development and history of certain federal government agencies like the CDC and the EPA, OSHA, kind of all of that stuff. Okay, that is that page done. I'm going to move on to the next page. I guess the next grouping of pages. Alright, also, like right now, I just typed out health department. And I usually will just abbreviate that as HD. And maybe there will be like other things in the future that I look back on and think like, oh, that would have been a better way to, abbreviate this, or that abbreviation would have actually worked better with this other word, but I can't use it because I've already used it elsewhere. But I think generally it works out. Or an example that could be confusing if other people were looking at my notes is that I will generally shorten words like communities. I shorten communities just COM, like COMM, thought. And I could understand if people maybe were trying to figure out if that was, communication or something else. I'm going to stop talking for a bit. I know it's been kind of interspersed anyways, but I think I'm going to stop talking maybe for 5-10 minutes or so, and I will add a timestamp if you just want to skip ahead to a talking section. Feel free to go ahead and do that. just kind of flipped my page so that I'm on the next two. I don't know if I'm actually going to get through everything that I have in this notebook today because I'm already getting a little bit warm. I think I might need to call it after I do these last two pages. I think I might also need to take some time after I typed things up and go back through, see if I want to bold, highlight certain words, just because I'm not really taking the time to do that right now. Which I probably could, but I'm feeling kind of lazy and I just want to get it all typed down. Mainly, I think I'm most motivated right now because I recently had an instance when I wanted to find something specific in my notes that I knew that I had written down, and I was having such a difficult time finding it. And I think it can be helpful just flipping back through notes, even if you're not quite finding what you want to find. I think getting those little reminders of topics that you're seeing as you flip through, I think that that's helpful. But there are times when I just want the information. I don't necessarily want to take the time to review things, especially some things that I feel like I don't necessarily need to review. But sometimes I will write down certain sources for some things, or certain helpful websites or things like that I might need in the future, that maybe I will use it differently than how I had done here. So I'm trying to go back and find that source or that helpful tool, and I don't necessarily need all of the information that was surrounding it. So I'm very excited to at least have some digital copies so that I can very easily find all of that information. I also wonder, I imagine it would be helpful to even, like, if you do type your notes, I think doing the reverse of what I'm doing, where you can maybe type your notes first because that's faster. Like, I'm certainly a faster typer than I am a writer. And so maybe that would make more sense to type everything and then handwrite it later, when you can actually take the time to think through what you're writing rather than just kind of like quickly scribbling down like I do. It is kind of interesting going back to some of this information though. Like, I think I obviously know all of it, but I think there's some things that it's kind of interesting, like looking back on what I found particularly interesting. Like, there are some things that I will put little asterisks by when I'm taking notes, especially around things that I think are particularly interesting or will be important for something. So it's kind of fun looking back through these notes and seeing what I thought was potentially interesting. And now, now I know some of these other things are actually more relevant, later on. Alright, I am kind of on my last page here. So I'm just kind of looking at different public health initiatives throughout history, some of the challenges and historical precedents for certain epidemics, things like that. Maybe challenges in the way that they were handled and opportunities for, what we learned from those incidences and potential mistakes. Also sometimes will write out like graphs and diagrams, and it's kind of interesting to try and put that onto paper, or like trying to type it. After this, I'm going to be generally done for the day, just hang out. So that will be very nice to be able to do. Go downstairs and take my dog outside and just kind of chill out. do feel like my hands are getting a little bit tired. I very rarely will just kind of sit down and strictly type like this, just like non-stop. Is the end of this last page that I'm going to type. And let's take a look. It looks like I typed out 7 pages of notes. Certainly not in the most efficient way. I'm kind of scrolling back through and seeing lots of instances, I think, where I can format a little bit differently. Save some space. Well, I hope that you enjoyed this video and maybe found the typing sounds relaxing. I hope that it wasn't too loud for you. Please let me know if you enjoyed this. Like I said, I have lots of notes that I want to transcribe, so if people enjoy this, it will motivate me to actually do it. Well, thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you have a wonderful rest